Honorable Federal Ministers and Excellency Wada and Japanese friends and members of Japanese delegation, government officials. Assalamu alaikum, good morning. Once again, Excellency, it's a pleasure meeting with you, and this time with a very large delegation. I would like to welcome our ambassador from Japan, our friend, and all of you, great friends of Pakistan and great supporters of Pakistan. What I was saying was that in 90s, up till 90s, there was mushroom growth of Japanese companies in Pakistan. You are all very visible in the city of Karachi, Lahore, Peshawar and Quetta, and Japanese companies were establishing their offices. Large investments were taking place in textile, in automobile industry, and so on and so forth. Lots of trade delegations were visiting Pakistan. Pakistan delegation were visiting Japan, Tokyo. Youthful days, I used to also lead delegations. So, gone are those days. We must bring them back. That's very important. And I have to say, even at the cost of reputation, that Japan has been one of the largest donors of Pakistan, and without any political strings. This is most important. There were no political strings at all. That if we do this, then this money will come. If we do that, then this money will come, or it will not come. And these were pure, very generous donations, amounting to almost $13 billion, spanning over the last 7 decades. I would say the total sum is, if you come to think of it, one of the largest chunk of donations to Pakistan, grants to Pakistan. JICA has been very active, and we need to jack them up again, JICA, their activities in Pakistan. So I think for all practical purposes, it's a very crucial meeting, Excellency, and I'd like to sensitize my honorable ministers and government officials to please tighten our belts and be smart and talk to you, reach out to you, and find out what are the problems. Sit down without even my intervention. I mean, over a cup of tea, or I don't know, sukiyaki or teriyaki, and really have a very productive discussion and remove, cut red tapeism, absolutely bureaucratic hurdles, like we have done in the case of recently in China's matters and Turkish matter, and here in Japan is a very dear country to us, is a very dear friend of Pakistan, and I have always said that I have great respect for two nations, and that is in Japan and Germany. The way you have rebuilt your society and your nation, after the Second World War, is unparalleled in the annals of history. I can tell you very frankly. But above all, I have witnessed Japanese ethics, business ethics myself. I know it personally. My visit to Japan, my interaction with Japanese company, and highest quality commitments and implementation, honoring agreements, honoring your pledges, and hard work, untiring efforts. This is unheard of, and we really need to emulate this model in Pakistan amongst other models. So with these opening remarks, Excellency, I would like to thank you. This was 2016, very hard negotiation with Suzuki, Pakistan, for 50,000 pieces, both Bolan and Ravi, for unemployed youth of Punjab. First, we had a very hard discussion. Because Pak Suzuki is a public sector company, so there is a notification in the government of Pakistan that they can, without G2G, government can buy without bidding process. But for us, that was not enough. So we sat down with them. So we slashed down the prices for this 50,000 pieces of cars, both Bulan and Ravi, to the tune of 2.5 billion rupees. So this was the first discount. Agreement signed. Now letter of credits opened. I'm not speaking for myself, but I'm trying to narrate the story to inspire you. This is how nations are built, and this was a small, humble contribution which I want to mention here. One day LCs opened, everything finished, agreement logged, letter of credit opened by Punjab Bank. One day I was sitting and reading Dawn newspaper before going to the office, and I saw a small news item that yen has got devalued, vis-a-vis dollar. Immediately, this transaction came to my mind. I said, "Oh my God, Suzuki is going to have a windfall profit. This must be passed on to us." So I asked my chief secretary, finance secretary, and Basal would remember who were the members of the team. They went to Karachi. I said, "Send them and tell them they must pass on this windfall to us, because we are not in this trade. We are passing it on to our unemployed people." So they went to Karachi. They said, "No, there's no question," and they were right. Let me say, at the outset, they were absolutely correct. Nowhere in the world that you reopen, negotiated, signed agreements, and between the government of Punjab and them, this is out of question. But we were not. I'll come to and tell you the salient points. So then I called a meeting in Lahore at my Model Town house residence. We met. His MD was there, tall man. We had 2.5 hours meeting, and there was no. I said, "Look," I said, "we are not in the business of trade. Government of Punjab is acting as a catalyst to employ unemployed. That's it. And so we are not into profit making, and we are not into loss making. We are passing on, what we call best competitive prices. And also, Government of Punjab is picking up the interest cost. So a pure loan amount is being transferred to the person, to the borrower, and he will pay in installments after earning money from this investment." They said, "Yes, Chief Minister, this is correct. But why are you forcing us something which is not your domain?" I said, "Look, you are making money, you are making profit out of this devaluation of yen. You must pass it on to us." And then his MD made a very pertinent point, and for which I had no answer. He said, "Okay, Chief Minister, tell me, had the yen been revalued, would you compensate us for that loss?" I said, "Then I wouldn't have raised this question." There was a big laughter. To cut this long story short, they were very kind. I must thank them. Of course, unwillingly, most unwillingly. They saw the point that Punjab government's effort is to provide best possible terms to the borrower, that is our unemployed youth, boys and girls both. And they gave us a check of 400 million rupees. Now this is unheard of in the history of business world. But then give them a big hand. Yeah. So this is our friendship, and this is all most what we call uncalled for demand. But I was trying to fight for the rights of my people, and they cooperated. This is how it should be. But when the ball is in our court, if we don't kick it, then it's not fair. Thank you, Excellency.